The stars looked different from the observation deck of the EAS horizon. Dr. William Carter stood with his hands clasped behind his back, watching as the massive space station grew larger in the viewport. The Galactic Council headquarters was a marvel of engineering, a spinning wheel of gleaming metal nearly 50 miles across, housing representatives from 17 alien species. Carter smoothed down the front of his formal blue uniform. As head of Earth's diplomatic corps, he had spent years preparing for this moment. First contact with the Galactic Council had occurred just 8 months ago, when their scout ships detected human colony vessels venturing beyond Pluto. Now, humanity would officially petition to join the interstellar community. 5 minutes until. "Docking, sir," said Linda Howard, his chief assistant. She handed him a tablet with their final briefing notes. "Thank you, Linda. Is the team ready?" "Yes, sir. All 12 delegation members are prepared. Ambassador Klein is a bit nervous, but he'll be fine." Carter nodded. He was nervous too, though he'd never admit it. Humanity had achieved faster-than-light travel only 27 years ago. They were newcomers in a galaxy where some civilizations had been spacefaring for thousands of years. The horizon shuddered slightly as docking clamps engaged. A soft chime announced successful pressure equalization. "Remember," Carter told his team, as they gathered at the airlock, "we represent not just our government but all of humanity. Our goal is simple: secure membership in the Council and negotiate fair territory rights for human expansion." The Earth delegation walked through the docking tube into a vast, bright reception chamber. The air smelled faintly of cinnamon and ozone. 4 alien representatives waited for them: a tall, blue-skinned Thalosian with 6 eyes, 2 insectoid Vreks with translucent wings, and a floating orb that Carter recognized as a Medusan consciousness vessel. "Welcome, Earth delegation," the Thalosian said through a translator device on its chest. "I am Ambassador Zyrex of the Thalosian Empire, senior council member. You will follow me to the chamber." Carter noticed immediately that there were no handshakes, no formal introductions. Zyrex turned without waiting for a response, clearly expecting the humans to follow. Linda whispered, "Not exactly rolling out the red carpet, are they?" "Stay focused," Carter murmured back. "This is just how it begins, not how it ends." The council chamber was enormous, a circular room with tiered seating for hundreds of delegates. The human delegation was shown to a small section in the lowest tier, far from the central speaking platform. Carter noted that their seats lacked the console interfaces that other delegations had. For nearly 3 hours, the council discussed matters that seemed trivial: trade disputes between member species, regulations on mining rights for uninhabited systems, cultural exchange protocols. The Earth delegation was not invited to speak. Occasionally, alien representatives would glance toward the humans with expressions Carter couldn't read, but which somehow felt dismissive. Finally, near the end of the session, Ambassador Zyrex addressed them directly. "The Council now recognizes the delegation from planet Earth. You may approach the speaking platform and present your petition." Carter walked confidently to the platform, feeling the eyes of every alien representative upon him. He activated his own translator device. "Honorable representatives of the Galactic Council, I bring greetings from Earth and all human colonies. We come seeking friendship and cooperation among the stars. Humanity respectfully petitions for membership in this esteemed council, with appropriate territory rights to allow for our growing population's expansion beyond our solar system." A low murmur spread through the chamber. Carter continued, outlining humanity's achievements, their peaceful intentions, and their willingness to abide by council regulations. When he finished, there was a moment of silence. Then Ambassador Zyrex stepped forward. "The petition is acknowledged," the Thalosian said coldly. "However, the Council has already reached its decision regarding Earth status. Humanity will be granted Level 5 observer status only." Carter blinked in surprise. "Level 5? But that's the lowest possible tier. It carries no voting rights and restricts us to your home solar system only." "Yes." Zyrex's 6 eyes blinked in sequence. "Your species has only recently developed rudimentary faster-than-light capability. Your technology is primitive by Council standards. Your cultural development is concerning, given your history of internal warfare. With respect, Ambassador, Carter said firmly. Humanity has maintained global peace for over 40 years. Our population crisis is real. We need room to expand beyond our system. A strange clicking sound came from Xyrex's translator. It took Carter a moment to realize the ambassador was laughing. 40 years of peace is nothing. The Thelosian Empire has known peace for 8,000 years. The Virex Collective has not had internal conflict for 12,000. Other delegates began, making their own sounds of amusement. The translator devices throughout the chamber broadcast a cacophony of alien laughter. Perhaps in a century or two, Xyrex continued, humanity might qualify for level 4 status. Until then, you will remain within your solar system. Be grateful for observer status at all. Many younger species are denied even that. Carter felt his face grow hot. Ambassador, I must insist that the Council reconsider. Earth cannot. The decision is final, Xyrex interrupted. This Council has managed galactic peace for millennia. We will not risk destabilization by granting expansion rights to an unproven species. The matter is closed. More laughter rippled through the chamber. Carter stood rigid, hands clenched at his sides. He glanced back at his delegation. Linda's face showed shock. Ambassador Klein looked pale. Very well, Carter said finally. Earth thanks the Council for its consideration. The journey back to the horizon was silent. Only when they were safely aboard and departing did Carter allow his diplomatic mask to slip. They didn't even review our petition, Linda said, her voice tight with anger. They had decided before we arrived. They see us as children, Carter replied, staring out at the stars once more. Primitives barely worth acknowledging. What do we do now? Ambassador Klein asked. The president won't be happy. Carter was quiet for a long moment. Then he turned to face his team, his eyes hard with resolve. Now we go home and tell President Martinez exactly what happened here. The Council thinks they know humanity based on our brief history among the stars. They believe we will accept their judgment and know our place. He shook his head slowly. They have badly miscalculated. 3 weeks later, President Olivia Martinez stood before the United Nations General Assembly. Her normally warm features were set in grim determination as she addressed the representatives of Earth's nations. The Galactic Council has denied humanity its rightful place among the stars, she declared. They laughed at our achievements, dismissed our needs, and restricted us to our solar system as if we were children sent to our room. She paused, looking across the silent chamber. We came in peace and were met with contempt. Now we must show the galaxy what humanity truly is. 5 years passed since the humiliating meeting with the Galactic Council. To outside observers, Earth seemed to have accepted its place in the cosmic order. Human ships stayed within the solar system. Trade with alien merchants occurred only at designated checkpoints near Jupiter. Monthly reports were dutifully sent to Council headquarters, detailing mining operations, population statistics, and technological developments. Ambassador Xyrex, during his annual inspection visit to Earth, smiled with all 4 of his mouths as President Martinez welcomed him to the White House. The Thelosian believed humanity had learned its lesson. Your adaptation to Council oversight has been satisfactory, Xyrex told Martinez as they sat in the Oval Office. Perhaps in another decade we might consider elevating Earth to level 4 status. That would be most generous, Martinez replied, with a practiced smile. Humanity values the Council's wisdom and guidance. After the ambassador left, Martinez touched a hidden panel beneath her desk. The windows darkened. Security scramblers activated, blocking any possible surveillance. Is he gone? She asked her chief of staff. Yes, Madam President. His shuttle has left Earth's atmosphere. Martinez's fake smile vanished. She pressed a button on her desk. Connect me to Operation Starfall. Beneath the dry sands of the Atacama, desert in Chile, Dr. Samantha Ellis worked in a laboratory that officially did not exist. The facility extended 20 levels underground, its existence hidden from Council inspection teams by a combination of old-fashioned camouflage and cutting-edge technology. Ellis barely looked up when her computer chimed with an incoming call. Her attention remained fixed on the strange device floating in the containment field before her. The device, no larger than a basketball, glowed with a soft blue light. "Dr. Ellis," the voice of President Martinez came through the speaker. "Monthly progress report, please." Ellis finally turned from her work. Dark circles underlined her eyes. Her red hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail. She hadn't slept properly in 3 days. "Madam President, I have good news. The quantum displacement field is functional. We successfully tested it yesterday on a small drone. The VREX sensors on the moon base didn't detect it at all." There was a moment of silence on the line. "You're certain?" Martinez asked. "Absolutely. We flew the drone directly past their outpost. Nothing. To their scanners, it was as if the drone didn't exist." "Can it be scaled up?" Ellis nodded, though the president couldn't see her. "We're already working on a prototype for a shuttle-sized vessel. Admiral Franklin's team is standing by to begin installation once we deliver the technology." "Outstanding, Dr. Ellis. This changes everything." "There's more," Ellis said, turning back to the glowing device. "We've reverse-engineered the Medusan power core from the parts we acquired through the trading post. Energy output is 300% more efficient than our best fusion reactors. We can now power the quantum displacement field indefinitely." In a hidden asteroid base in the Kuiper Belt far beyond Neptune, Admiral George Franklin floated in zero gravity, watching workers assemble what would soon be Earth's new fleet. The construction bay was enormous, carved from the inside of the UR asteroid. 6 ships in various stages of completion hung suspended in magnetic cradles. Unlike the bulky functional vessels that humanity showed to council inspectors, these ships were sleek, predatory. Their hulls were made of a carbon-based material that absorbed rather than reflected light, making them nearly invisible against the backdrop of space even without active camouflage. "Admiral, incoming secure transmission from Earth," his communications officer said. Franklin pushed himself toward a private booth. Once inside, he activated the security protocols. "This is Franklin." "George, it's Olivia," the president said, dropping formality. They had known each other since military academy. "Ellis has done it. The displacement field works." Franklin let out a long breath. "Thank God. When can we expect delivery?" "First prototype ships to Ganymede in 2 weeks. Then full production." "Any suspicion from the council?" Martinez laughed softly. "Zyrex just left Earth. He's convinced we're the model of compliance. Their arrogance blinds them completely." Franklin turned to look through the booth's small window at the ships under construction. "How many can we build before they notice?" "Ellis says the quantum field will hide all production signatures. As long as we maintain the appearance of compliance, we can build as many as we want." "And Operation Phoenix?" Franklin asked. "On schedule. Agent Reeves is already embedded in the diplomatic corps. When the time comes, she'll be perfectly positioned." Franklin nodded. Lucy Reeves was their best operative, brilliant, adaptable, and completely committed to the cause. She would make an excellent ambassador when the time came to replace Carter. "The council thinks we've accepted their limits," Martinez continued. "They believe 5 years of apparent submission means we've given up. They don't understand humans at all." Meanwhile, at council headquarters, Ambassador Zyrex delivered his report on Earth to the inner circle, the 5 most powerful representatives who truly controlled galactic policy. "The humans continue to be compliant," he told the assembled aliens. "Their technology remains primitive. I saw no evidence of illegal expansion or weapons development." The Medusan representative, its consciousness housed in a hovering silver sphere, pulsed with blue light as it spoke. "Some on the council have suggested reconsidering Earth's status. The humans have been unexpectedly cooperative." "Unnecessary," Zyrex replied dismissively. "Earth remains centuries behind even our most basic technologies. Their current focus appears to be on solving their internal resource problems rather than expansion. I see no reason to accelerate their integration." "And what of the reports of increased mining operations in their asteroid belt?" asked the Vrex representative, its insect-like mandibles clicking softly. "Perfectly explained by their resource needs," Zyrex said. Our monitoring stations detect nothing unusual. They are simply gathering materials to support their growing population within their own system, as permitted. The Inner Circle accepted Xyrex's assessment. The matter of Earth was closed, deemed too unimportant for further discussion. The session moved on to more pressing matters, specifically disturbing reports of aggressive movements by the Krell Dominion along the galactic eastern rim. No one noticed the small change in the Council's security protocols that week. A minor update to the visitor tracking system. No one questioned when several human technicians spent 3 days upgrading communication relays around the station. The Council had far greater concerns than the comings and goings of representatives from a Level 5 civilization. Back on Earth in a secure briefing room deep beneath the Pentagon, President Martinez addressed the leaders of Operation Starfall. Dr. Ellis, Admiral Franklin, the newly appointed Ambassador Reeves, and a dozen others sat around a large table, their faces illuminated by the holographic display in the center. The Council has ignored us for 5 years, Martinez said, her voice steady and determined. They've laughed at our capabilities and dismissed our potential. They've restricted our growth while they continue to exploit the resources of 1,000 worlds. She gestured at the hologram, which showed the locations of Starfall fleet elements hidden throughout the solar system. In 5 years, we have achieved what the Council thought impossible. We have built technologies they cannot detect. We have created weapons they cannot counter. We have positioned our people where they never thought to look. Martinez looked at each person in turn, her eyes burning with quiet intensity. The Council believes we accepted their judgment of humanity. Soon, they will learn how wrong they were, and when that day comes, they will never laugh at humanity again. The emergency alarm echoed through the massive Council chamber. Representatives from 17 species hurried to their seats, their private conversations forgotten, as the massive view screens activated around the circular room. Ambassador Xyrex stood at the central platform, his blue skin pale with stress. The images on the screen showed burning planets, destroyed space stations, and the unmistakable spiked warships of the Krell Dominion. The situation has worsened, Xyrex announced, his voice amplified throughout the chamber. The Krell have taken 3 more systems in the past week. The mining colony on Pelax 4 has been completely destroyed. Millions are dead. Murmurs spread through the assembly. The Krell Dominion was not part of the Galactic Council. They were warlike, aggressive, and had always refused to join the peaceful alliance. For centuries they had remained within their borders, but now something had changed. Our defensive fleets are struggling to hold the outer systems, Xyrex continued. The Krell ships outnumber ours 3 to 1, and their weapons technology has somehow advanced beyond our intelligence estimates. A Vrex representative rose from his seat, the light gleaming off his insectoid carapace. What of the evacuation plans for the border colonies? We have millions of civilians in systems that could be attacked next. Xyrex's 6 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of distress. Evacuation ships are en route, but we lack sufficient vessels. The Krell advance is happening too quickly. As the Council erupted into panicked debate, few noticed the human delegation in their small section. For this emergency session, Ambassador Lucy Reeves represented Earth, having replaced Dr. Carter 2 years earlier. She sat quietly, observing the fear that gripped the mighty Council. After an hour of increasingly desperate proposals, Xyrex finally acknowledged the raised hand from the human section. The Council recognizes the Earth observer, he said with barely concealed impatience. Lucy Reeves walked calmly to the speaking platform. Unlike her predecessors who had worn formal Earth diplomatic uniforms, she dressed simply in a plain gray suit. Her brown hair was cut short, practical. Nothing about her appearance suggested she represented a significant power. The people of Earth are concerned about the Krell aggression, she began, her voice steady. We would like to offer military assistance to the Council in this time of crisis. A moment of stunned silence followed her words. Then laughter, the same dismissive sound that had greeted Dr. Carter years before, rippled through the chamber. Military assistance? Xyrex didn't bother to hide his amusement. What possible help could Earth provide against the Krell Armada? Your primitive vessels can barely reach the edge of your own system. Reeves showed no reaction to the mockery. In exchange for our help, Earth requests full council membership and expanded territory rights for human colonization. The laughter grew louder. A Medusan representative's translation orb actually bobbed in the air with the force of its amusement. Ambassador Reeves, Zyrex said, perhaps you misunderstand the scale of this conflict. The Krell fleet includes over 300 capital ships with advanced weapon systems. What could your handful of outdated cruisers possibly contribute? Reeves simply smiled. She touched her ear, activating a neural link implant invisible to the council representatives. Admiral Franklin, she said clearly. Phase 1. For a moment, nothing happened. Then warning alarms blared throughout the council station. The massive view screens flickered and changed to show the space immediately surrounding the station. 6 warships had appeared, seemingly from nowhere, arranged in perfect formation around the council headquarters. Their hulls were midnight black, absorbing rather than reflecting light. They were clearly human in design, but unlike any vessels the council had ever seen from Earth. The chamber fell completely silent. What is the meaning of this? Zyrex demanded, his translator barely keeping up with his agitated clicks and whistles. How did those ships approach without detection? Where did they come from? They've been here for 3 days, Reeves replied calmly. Observing your security protocols, monitoring your communications, and assessing your defensive capabilities. She gestured to the screens which now showed dozens of similar human vessels throughout council space, near important military installations, beside major fleet anchorages, within weapons range of council homeworlds. Earth has developed certain technologies that the council may find useful against the Krell threat, Reeves continued. Our quantum displacement field makes our ships undetectable to all known scanning systems. Our energy weapons are more advanced than what the Krell currently deploy, and we have a fleet of 200 such vessels ready for immediate action. The council representatives stared at the screens in disbelief. The mighty Galactic Council, rulers of thousands of worlds, had been completely infiltrated by a species they had dismissed as primitive and unimportant. This is impossible, one of the Inner Circle members whispered, but loud enough for all to hear. Level 5 civilizations cannot achieve such technology so quickly. Perhaps, Reeves suggested, your assessment of humanity was flawed. Zyrex recovered his composure with visible effort. You've hidden your true capabilities from the Council. This is a violation of membership protocols. We were never truly members, Reeves countered. We were observers only, denied the rights and privileges of membership. Now we offer a simple arrangement. Our military assistance against the Krell in exchange for full membership and expanded territory rights. The chamber erupted again, but this time with urgent discussion rather than laughter. The representatives huddled in groups, casting nervous glances at the screens showing human warships throughout their territory. After a hurried conference among the inner circle, Zyrex returned to the platform beside Reeves. The Council accepts your offer of assistance, he said stiffly. Once the Krell threat is contained, we will discuss the terms of Earth's elevated status. Reeves smiled again, but her eyes remained cold. Perhaps I wasn't clear, Ambassador. We require full membership and territory rights now before we commit our forces, not promises to be discussed later. This is extortion, Zyrex hissed quietly. This is diplomacy, Reeves corrected him. Something Earth has learned much about in recent years. The Medusan representative floated forward, its orb pulsing with blue light. The inner circle requires time to deliberate. This is an unprecedented situation. Of course, Reeves replied graciously. You have 1 hour. After that, our ships will withdraw to human space and you can face the Krell alone. She stepped down from the platform and returned to her seat in the human section, feeling the stunned gazes of hundreds of alien representatives following her. 1 hour later, the Council granted Earth provisional full membership status and rights to colonize 20 previously restricted star systems. The motion passed by a narrow margin, with many representatives clearly voting out of fear rather than conviction. As Lucy Reeves prepared to depart for the human flagship to coordinate their response to the Krell, Ambassador Zyrex approached her in a private corridor. "You deceived us," he said, his voice low, "all these years while pretending to accept your place." Reeves looked at him calmly. "You gave us no choice. You denied us our rightful place in the galaxy. You laughed at us. And now you think you've won? That the Council will simply accept this blackmail?" Reeves' expression hardened. "No, Ambassador. I think this is just the beginning. Humanity will have its place among the stars, whether the Council approves or not." She turned and walked away, leaving the once mighty Thalosian staring after her, suddenly afraid of what humanity might do next. The Proxima sector burned. 3 Council worlds had fallen to the Krell invasion in less than a month. Billions of refugees crowded into emergency evacuation ships, fleeing toward the safety of the inner systems. The Krell warships, massive, spiked vessels bristling with weapons, pushed deeper into Council space every day. On the bridge of the EAS Defiance, Captain Natalie Rivera studied the tactical display. Her ship hung in space at the edge of the Proxima sector, along with 30 other human vessels and a mixed fleet of Council ships. This would be the first true test of Earth's military forces against the Krell. "Status report," Rivera ordered, her voice calm despite the tension on the bridge. "All systems operational, Captain," her first officer replied. "Quantum displacement field is active. The Council ships still can't detect us on their scanners unless we want them to." Rivera nodded. "And the Krell fleet?" "Approaching from the Daenerys system. Long-range scans show 27 capital ships and approximately 50 support vessels. They'll be within engagement range in 40 minutes. Admiral Franklin's face appeared on the main view screen. He commanded the operation from the flagship EAS Valiant, 10,000 miles away. "Captain Rivera, are you prepared for the demonstration?" "Yes, Admiral, the Defiance is ready. The Council observers are aboard." Franklin's expression was grim. "Remember your orders. We need to show the Council exactly what we're capable of. This isn't just about defeating the Krell. It's about our future place in the galaxy." "Understood, sir." The communication ended. Rivera turned to see Ambassador Zyrex and 2 other Council representatives watching from the rear of the bridge. They had been silently observing the human crew's operations for hours. "Ambassador," Rivera said, "you might want to prepare yourselves. Combat maneuvers can be disorienting for those not accustomed to them." Zyrex's 6 eyes blinked in sequence. "We have observed many space battles, Captain. The Thalosian Empire has fought wars for thousands of years." Rivera smiled slightly. "Not like this, you haven't." 30 minutes later, the Krell fleet appeared, at the edge of the sensor range. 3 massive dreadnoughts led the formation, each one 5 times the size of the largest human vessel. Behind them came the rest of the Krell armada, a forest of deadly spikes and weapon ports moving through space with singular purpose. "They've detected the Council fleet," Rivera's tactical officer reported. "They're moving to engage." "But they haven't detected us," Rivera stated rather than asked. "No, Captain. Our quantum displacement is holding perfectly. We're completely invisible to their sensors." Rivera turned to look at the Council observers. "This is the technology you laughed at, Ambassador. The technology you said a primitive species like humans could never develop." Before Zyrex could respond, Rivera was back in command mode. "Bring us around to attack Vector 7, target the lead dreadnought, prepare phase shift torpedoes." The crew worked with practiced efficiency. The Defiance moved silently through space, completely undetected as it approached the massive Krell flagship. "Ambassador," Rivera said without turning around, "you might want to observe the main view screen. You're about to see something no Council ship can do." The Defiance closed to within 5,000 miles of the Krell dreadnought, point-blank range in space combat. Still undetected, the human ship took up position directly above the Krell vessel. "Deactivate quantum displacement. Fire phase shift. Torpedoes. All 6 tubes." The Defiance suddenly appeared on every scanner in the battle zone. Before the Krell could react, 6 glowing blue projectiles launched from the human ship. They struck the dreadnought's hull and simply passed through it as if the massive armor wasn't there. Phase shift complete, the tactical officer announced. Torpedoes have rematerialized inside the target's engine core. The Krell dreadnought exploded from within. A blinding flash of energy erupted from its central section, tearing the massive vessel apart. Secondary explosions cascaded through its structure as ammunition stores and fuel cells detonated. Within seconds, the pride of the Krell fleet was nothing but expanding debris. Stunned silence fell over the Defiance's bridge. The Council observers stared at the view screen in disbelief. "Reactivate quantum displacement," Rivera ordered calmly. "Move to attack Vector 12. Target the second dreadnought." In the next 20 minutes, the Defiance destroyed 2 more Krell capital ships using the same technique. The remaining human vessels revealed themselves and joined the battle, their advanced weapons cutting through the Krell fleet with terrifying efficiency. The Council ships, outnumbered and outgunned before humanity's intervention, could only watch as the supposedly primitive humans decimated the dreaded Krell armada. Within 2 hours, the remaining Krell ships were in full retreat, fleeing back toward their home territory. Admiral Franklin's fleet pursued them to the edge of the sector, ensuring they wouldn't return anytime soon. The Proxima sector, which the Council had been losing for weeks, was secured in a single day. 2 weeks later, a grand celebration was held on Thalos Prime, the homeworld of Ambassador Xyrex, and the most influential member of the Galactic Council. The defeat of the Krell fleet was heralded as a great victory. Representatives from all 17 Council species gathered in the capital city's Grand Plaza to honor the alliance that had saved the outer systems. Captain Rivera stood uncomfortably on the stage alongside Admiral Franklin and Ambassador Reeves as Xyrex presented them with the Order of Galactic Merit, the Council's highest honor. The ceremony was being broadcast to thousands of worlds. "With the help of our new human allies," Xyrex proclaimed to the assembled crowd, "the Krell threat has been contained. Their forces have retreated to their own territory, and our border worlds are safe once more." The crowd cheered. Rivera noticed that Xyrex conveniently failed to mention that it was human ships alone that had turned the tide of battle. After the ceremony, Admiral Franklin found Xyrex in a private chamber of the government palace. "Ambassador, we need to discuss the agreement. Earth was promised full membership and expanded territory rights." Xyrex's expression was difficult to read, but his tone was cool. "Yes, Admiral. The provisional membership has been granted. However, regarding the territory rights, the Inner Circle feels that certain adjustments are necessary." "Adjustments?" Franklin's voice hardened. "What kind of adjustments?" "Nothing significant, merely a reduction in the number of systems available for human colonization. Instead of 20 systems, the Council can offer 8. Still generous for such a young species." "That wasn't the agreement." "The agreement was made under duress, Admiral. The Council was facing an emergency situation. Now that the crisis has passed, more reasonable terms can be established." Franklin's face darkened. Before he could respond, the chamber doors opened. President Olivia Martinez walked in, accompanied by Dr. Samantha Ellis. Both women wore formal, Earth diplomatic attire, but their expressions were anything but diplomatic. "President Martinez," Xyrex said, surprise evident in his voice. "We were not informed you would be attending the ceremonies." "I decided to make the trip personally, Ambassador," Martinez replied, "especially when I received word that the Council was planning to renege on our agreement." "Not renege, Madam President. Simply renegotiate terms that were perhaps too hastily arranged." Dr. Ellis stepped forward, placing a small device on the conference table. It projected a holographic display showing hundreds of documents, star charts, and communication logs. "This is evidence we've gathered over the past 5 years," Ellis said calmly. "Evidence that the Council has been deliberately suppressing technological development of dozens of younger species, restricting their territory, denying them resources, keeping them weak and dependent." Xyrex's 6 eyes widened. "These are internal Council documents. How did you obtain them?" The same way we developed our fleet right under your noses, Martinez said. You underestimated us, you still do. She leaned forward, her voice dropping to a dangerous quiet. So here is humanity's ultimatum, Ambassador. Either the Council grants Earth and all other subjugated species the full rights and territories originally promised, or humanity will end diplomatic relations with the Galactic Council. Zyrex laughed, the sound strange through his translator. End diplomatic relations? You would isolate yourselves from the galactic community. Even with your impressive technology, Earth cannot stand alone. Perhaps I should clarify what ending diplomatic relations means in this context, Martinez said, her eyes cold. Ellis touched the device again. The hologram changed to show human ships positioned near key Council military installations throughout the galaxy. We could cripple the Council's ability to function within a day, Martinez continued. Your defense systems, your communication networks, your trade routes, all vulnerable to our technology. We wouldn't need to fire a single shot to bring the Council to its knees. Zyrex stared at the hologram, his arrogance replaced by growing horror as he realized just how thoroughly the humans had infiltrated Council space. You wouldn't dare, he whispered. The Council has stood for thousands of years. Perhaps it's time for something new, Martinez replied. The choice is yours. 3 days passed after President Martinez delivered her ultimatum. The Council rejected humanity's demands. They believed Earth was bluffing, that no single species would dare challenge the combined might of 17 ancient civilizations that had ruled the stars for thousands of years. They were wrong. Admiral Franklin stood on the bridge of the EAS Valiant, looking at the tactical display. Hundreds of human ships had emerged from quantum displacement throughout Council space. Each vessel had specific targets: military installations, defense platforms, communication hubs, not civilian centers or populated areas. Humanity would demonstrate its power without unnecessary bloodshed. All ships report ready, Admiral, his communications officer said. Franklin took a deep breath. Once he gave this order, there would be no going back. Humanity would either secure its rightful place among the stars or face the combined wrath of the Council. Execute Operation Starfall, he commanded. Phase 1. Across 17 star systems, human ships appeared without warning. Their weapons, fired with surgical precision, targeting military infrastructure while avoiding civilian casualties. Council defense grids went dark. Communication networks failed. Within hours, the carefully maintained web of control that had allowed the Council to dominate the galaxy for millennia began to unravel. At the Thalosian Home Fleet anchorage, the largest concentration of Council military power, Captain Natalie Rivera led the decisive battle. The EAS Defiance, along with 20 other human warships, decloaked in the middle of the massive Council fleet. 70% of the Council's capital ships were docked there, vulnerable and unprepared. Broadcast on all frequencies, Rivera ordered, both Council and civilian channels. She stood from her command chair, her expression resolute as the camera focused on her. Attention, Council forces. This is Captain Natalie Rivera of the Earth, Alliance Ship Defiance. We have disabled your defense systems and communication networks throughout Council space. Your weapons cannot penetrate our shields. Diplomacy has ended. Surrender is your only option. On the Council homeworlds, panic spread as news of the human attack reached civilian populations. The Council representatives, who had ruled without challenge for so long, found themselves suddenly powerless as their military forces were neutralized with frightening efficiency. On Thalos Prime, Ambassador Zyrex watched from the government palace as the sky filled with human ships. The mighty Thalosian defense fleet, pride of the Council's military, hung dead in space, disabled by human weapons that had bypassed their shields as if they weren't there. How is this possible? He whispered to his aides. They're just one species. Barely a century of spaceflight. Reports flooded in from across Council space. Everywhere the story was the same. Human ships had appeared from nowhere. Council defenses had fallen in minutes, not hours. And yet, strangely, there were virtually no casualties. The humans had disabled rather than destroyed, neutralized rather. then killed. Within weeks, the millennia-old council structure collapsed. Without its military power and with its communication networks in human hands, the central authority that had bound 17 species together fractured and fell apart. In its place, Earth proposed a new organization, the Galactic Federation, with equal representation for all species regardless of technological development. The Federation Charter guaranteed autonomy for member worlds, but prohibited the suppression of younger species. The former council races were required to dismantle their supremacist policies and share previously restricted technologies with all member worlds. The signing ceremony took place on Earth, in the Grand Assembly Hall of the United Nations in New York. Representatives from 32 species, including the 17 former council members and 15 previously suppressed minor races, gathered to sign the Federation Charter. Dr. William Carter, now elderly but invited back as an advisor to the president, watched from the side of the stage as history was made. 8 years had passed since his humiliation in the council chamber, when alien representatives had laughed at humanity's petition for membership. Quite a change from your first diplomatic mission, isn't it, Doctor? President Martinez said, joining him at the observation window. Carter nodded, his eyes following the procession of alien representatives approaching the signing table. I never imagined it would end like this. End? This is just the beginning. Martinez smiled. The galaxy is open to us now, and not just to us, to all species who were kept down by council policies. Carter watched as a representative from the Zalari, a species previously classified as Level 4 by the council, signed the charter. The Zalari had developed a revolutionary approach to sustainable energy that the council had suppressed for fear it would disrupt existing power structures. They're all signing, Carter observed, even the former council races. They don't have much choice, Martinez replied. We control their military infrastructure, but more importantly, their own populations are demanding change. Many of them never knew how their leaders were suppressing other species. After the ceremony, Carter found himself face-to-face with Ambassador Zyrex in the reception hall. The Thalosian looked diminished somehow. His once proud posture now stooped, his 6 eyes darting nervously around the room. Dr. Carter, Zyrex said. It has been many years. Indeed it has, Ambassador. Though I believe it's just representative. Zyrex now. You speak only for your homeworld, not an empire. The Thalosian made a sound that might have been a sigh. We underestimated your species, a common mistake among the council races. Yes, Carter agreed, but not a mistake anyone is likely to make twice. Zyrex studied him carefully. There is something I must know. How did humanity advance so quickly? Even with your ingenuity, the technologies you developed should have taken centuries. Carter smiled. We had motivation, Ambassador. When you restrict a species, when you laugh at them and tell them they're inferior, you give them something powerful. And what is that? Something to prove. 1 year later, the first Federation exploration fleet prepared to venture beyond the borders of known space. The fleet included ships from 12 different species operating under a joint command structure. Humanity had insisted on this approach. No single species would control the Federation's expansion into the unknown. Admiral Franklin stood on the observation deck of the massive space station orbiting Earth, watching as the fleet prepared for departure. President Martinez joined him, now in her final month of office after overseeing humanity's emergence as a galactic power. Do you think we did the right thing? Franklin asked quietly. Forcing change on so many worlds? Martinez considered the question. We didn't force our way of life on anyone. We simply removed the barriers that kept species from determining their own futures. The Council kept the galaxy static, unchanging, for millennia. Now it can grow again. And if we encounter dangers out there, threats worse than the Krell, then we'll face them together, Martinez replied. As equals. That's the difference between the Council and the Federation. The Council ruled through fear and suppression. We'll lead through cooperation and respect. As the Federation fleet disappeared into the depths of space, Dr. Samantha Ellis stood in her laboratory beneath the Atacama Desert. The facility was no longer secret. It had become the Federation's primary research center, with scientists from dozens of worlds working together on new technologies. Ellis looked at the quantum displacement generator, the device that had changed humanity's destiny. Next to it sat something new, something developed in cooperation with Zalari energy specialists and Vrex biotechnology experts, something that would open a new chapter in galactic exploration. She smiled. The Council had laughed. At humanity once, they weren't laughing anymore.